Razavan here for FightHype.com with me, promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie, you alright?
Yeah, very well, mate. Yourself?
I'm good. I'd first like to say thank you for letting FightHype to this particular media day.
You're not normally invited?
No, we're not normally invited. This is only for...
You've cracked it for the...
broadcasters.
Well, there you go. You've cracked it.
You're a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So...
it shows you the importance of YouTube channels.
Well, yeah, your team was ringing me last week and this week and saying, can you attend?
There you go.
AJ's team were ringing me. I'm like, absolutely.
There you go.
FightHype. Cracked it. Anthony Joshua Povetkin, you've gone on record to say this is his toughest fight. Why is this his toughest fight?
I believe the quotes were one of his toughest fights, if not the toughest fight. I think it's tougher than every fight he's had other than Klitschko. But at the time of Klitschko, he didn't quite have the circus, you know, Wilder, Fury, you know, in Britain as well. It's a remarkable country which supports you, and then when you start conquering, almost wants you to fuck up, you know, which is remarkable. But we've done this. For Frank Bruno, when he won a world title, it's like his popularity dipped rather than exploded, you know? Tim Henman, Andy Murray, it's like, go on, he's won Wimbledon. Oh, he's Scottish, isn't he? You know, like, it's like, so I just think there's a lot of pressure on him. I think there's a lot of pressure. And one of the biggest parts of the pressure is because the people outside of boxing don't quite realise how tough and dangerous a fight this is. In boxing, everyone I've spoke to gone, they still fancy AJ to win, but it's like, it's a tough fight, you know. And when you look at Povetkin's team, when you look at World of Boxing, when you look at Andrei Rybinski, you look at Russia and the government, they'll, trust me when I say, they'll be wanting a Russian victory over Britain on September the 22nd, and they'll be wanting a heavyweight world champion. And make no mistake, Anthony Joshua is the #1 heavyweight in the world, and if Povetkin beats him, he's #1. So everything to play for, as always, in front of 80,000 at the National Stadium. It's going to be another unbelievable night.
Obviously, Povetkin was caught a few years ago cheating. He's 38 years old, I believe, 38, 39 years old. Age is obviously completely against him. Anthony Joshua, the younger, the fresher athlete. A lot of people say it's just a complete mismatch.
No, but then what must you think of AJ? You know, if you look at the independent rankings, take a rank, I don't know, the Ring Magazine rankings, yeah? #1 is Anthony Joshua. #2 is Deontay Wilder. #3 is Alexander Povetkin. So how can 1v3 be a mismatch? How can a mismatch be against a guy who's only had 21 fights, against a guy who's only lost once to Vladimir Klitschko on points? 2 Olympic gold medalists, you know, and I wouldn't say age is on Povetkin's side, of course not, but experience is. You know, he's much more experienced than Anthony Joshua. And what baffles me is that, like, when you look at, you know, he said something really interesting in a media thing where he said, you know, he talked about Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis, when he was boxing, everyone was saying, oh, he's boring, oh, he gets behind the jab. Now, he was an unbelievable technician and a legend, you know? So you have to look at where we're at the moment. If he beats Povetkin, we would be 22 fights in. Which, when you look at the careers of Vladimir Klitschko, Lennox Lewis, they haven't fought anyone after 20, 21 fights. AJ would have beaten Povetkin, Parker, Takan, Klitschko, White, Brazil. I mean, all within 22 fights. It's phenomenal. How many fights Wilder had? 42, 41? Jesus, I mean, we should be applauding this man, really, and saying, what you're achieving is phenomenal. Most guys after 21 fights, you think they'd want to go and fight Povetkin? No chance. So he's dealing with his obligations, his mandatory obligations, which happens when you are a world champion, and particularly a unified world champion. You're going to have a lot of them, and this is the second mandatory challenge he's had to face.